Hello, my name is Trina Baker, and this is the podcast video I have created for Fort Hays State University's Introduction to Cognitive Psychology. In Chapter 10 of the text, we dive into some of the different theories and studies about what goes on in the human mind during judgment and decision making. The text defines judgment as the process of estimating and assessing various options and outcomes, often prior to making a decision. It defines decision-making as the entire process of arriving at a determined course of action. Judgment and decision-making are intertwined in the human mind, but are also separate processes, so the text took a look at them separately and together. Some key points for judgment were base rate neglect, representativeness heuristics, conjunction fallacy, and availability heuristics. Some key points for decision making were normative theories like expected utility theory and prospect theory, loss aversion, the endowment effect, sunk cost fallacy, framing effects, bounded rationality, take the best heuristics, and recognition heuristics. My highlights for Chapter 10. First off, I'm going to be real and say prior to this chapter, I had never heard of a heuristic, let alone what the word meant. I also had to Google how to pronounce it to make sure I'm saying it correctly right now. Basically, a heuristic is a simple rule or procedure used to aid in making quicker judgments or decisions, whether or not that method is the most accurate for the situation. I found it interesting how many of these different kinds of rules we make up, consciously or not, to shortcut the amount of process involved in our judgments and decision making. The most surprising part to me is how many aspects are not really even influenced by or based on facts. People use things like recognition, familiarity, and association much of the time. We want to avoid loss, and we want to keep our feelings of ownership, real or not, and we end up wasting more time or money over not wanting to back off from a bad decision with the trap of the sunk cost fallacy. I have observed framing effects before, but we'll certainly be giving them a more thoughtful look after this chapter. I'm also interested in learning more about the influences of recognition on decision making and judgments, and the influence of loss aversion and the endowment effect, that whole ownership feeling and wanting to avoid loss. How far will we go to avoid perceived losses? And kind of how much we get taken advantage of by people that actually understand that. The text gave the example of, free trials for different things. And I know people fall for that because, say they get a subscription service for streaming. And they say, well, you can try it for a month free or whatever. And they're hoping by the end of that month, well, you love their streaming so much, or you got to get your shows that, you would feel a loss for not having that when that trial ends, so that you'll go ahead and pay the subscription. So that would be interesting to look into more as well. Once again, if you are not taking this course and are interested in the textbook, you can find a digital copy through the publisher's site or potentially your college bookstore. Thank you for watching.